What's up, everybody? Squirrel Man's back again. Sitting here in Kentucky. Man, I haven't been to Kentucky in a long time, I feel like. I'm just, every time I come out here, I'm constantly in the same freaking states. It's so aggravating. I just come from Illinois. Fuck Illinois, by the way. I did. I brought a load from Illinois, a DHL load, and I just delivered it to the airport down the road. And actually, DHL people are really cool. Like, you are in and out so fast. DHL people know what they're doing. UPS people suck ass. I can't stand dealing with UPS. They suck. But I told the security guard at the DHL, I was like, man, I appreciate you guys. I was like, you guys are on point, man. I was like, every time I deal with DHL, you guys are so like quick, fast, and in a hurry. You know, you don't mess around. And you make it so easy for me to get in and out of there. I love people like that, man. They know how to do their jobs. Reason why I want to make this video though was to talk about truck stops versus rest areas. Man, if you're just getting into this job, there's a huge difference and advantages or pros and cons to each one. Depending on where you're at and like how much of a hurry you're in, especially if you're in like a blue state where they charge you to park everywhere, rest areas are definitely where you want to go. Though I love rest areas, man, and I'll tell you why. Because ever since I started keeping more food in my truck instead of buying it like as you eat it, you know, which is insanely unhealthy for you. It's crazy. Don't do that. Buy food to keep in your truck. You know, and there's a few different reasons for that. The biggest reason is you never know when you're going to, especially if you're a person that live loads and unloads a lot, you never know when you're going to get stuck somewhere for hours and hours. And I mean hours, man. I mean, when I was with Biscuit, we got stuck in a place for like 14 hours one day. So you always want to keep food in your truck. But I love rest areas because they're right off the highway. You're technically still on the road, basically. So you're in and out, you know. They still have a bathroom in there. A lot of these service areas still have restaurants in there. You know, you can get coffee and all sorts of stuff. So the service areas are really cool. I always try to avoid truck stops unless I need to get gas. Or I run in there and I get a free coffee all the time because I always have my own mug. But honestly, I try to avoid truck stops as much as I can unless I have to take a shower. Unless I'm in a place where I know it's a big open area and I know there's a really, really good chance I'm going to get a spot. Other than that, I try to stay away from the truck stops ever since I've gotten more experience and gotten a lot smarter at doing this job. Because the rest areas, like I said, they're so much easier to get in and out of. A lot of times, not all the time, it's really with the service areas. The service areas tend to have a shit ton of parking, like a lot. The average rest area, it doesn't. You know, they have parking, but that's like a big disadvantage to your average rest area is the parking situation can be really crazy depending on what time of day it is, you know. And I'll tell you, I just made a video about driving night versus day, and I should have mentioned this. People that drive at night a lot never have trouble finding parking because they usually get done around maybe we'll say 4 or 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe a little bit later. But the point is, when they get done, everybody that drives during the day is getting up and they're leaving those truck stops. So you've been driving all night. Now you're about to cash in and you're going to roll into this truck stop and you're going to see a bunch of empty spots, you know, and it's going to be like that all the time for you because that's your schedule. So that's one big, huge advantage to driving at night all the time, you know. But I honestly, I do prefer the rest areas because I just feel like they're so much easier to get in and out of. There's so much BS you don't have to deal with. A lot of truck stops Not all of them, but depending on where you're at, can be absolute insanity. There's traffic going everywhere in all directions. There's people running around everywhere. You're constantly, you constantly got to have your head on a swivel because you don't want to run somebody over. So that makes it crazy. But when you're at a rest area, all the traffic's going in one direction, you know? It's all going and being bottlenecked into one direction. So it's a lot easier to pay attention and to keep from making mistakes or having accidents, you know what I mean? So that was like one big thing I wanted to talk about with the rest areas and the truck stops. Everybody has their preference. There's people that like, oh, I only park at Pilot or I only park at Love's. Honestly, since I've come to Bar None, I'm at Pilot all the time. And you know why? Because I feel like I can only pump gas at Pilot. And that's not true. I can pump gas other places, but coming to Bar None, they are so picky about where you pump your gas. They're the first company I worked for where every single time I pump gas, I have to put in a fuel stop request in the Qualcomm. And I do it way ahead of time so I can get ahead of the game so I don't have to stress and worry about where I'm going to get gas. You know, like if I know I'm going to be parking at a Pilot or something in a while, I'll put in a fuel stop request. Or I got like 3/4 of a tank right now. But if I had a half a tank right now and I was parked at a Pilot, I'm at a TA right now. But if I was at a Pilot, I would go ahead and put in the fuel stop request because I mean, I'm down to a half a tank. That can last me a really long time, but still, if I know I can get gas at this Pilot where I'm sitting at, then I'm just going to go ahead and get it, you know? So I always try to get way ahead of the game so I never have to you know, worry about running low on fuel because that sucks, especially when you're in states where it's a total pain in the ass to fill up, like Jersey or Illinois. You know, fuck that. You know, I always make sure I have a bunch of gas before I roll into places like that, and you should too. Always plan ahead. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Common sense ain't common.